Welcome back to Blue Review. He's Greg Bergman. I'm Clinton Yates. Of course, Blue Review is presented by Los Angeles International Airport, where changes are arriving daily to help reduce traffic, save travelers time, and transform the travel experience. I was at LAX yesterday. I did my new favorite trick, which is if you land in terminals 7 or 8, you can just walk to the taxi and Uber stand, as opposed to getting on the shuttle for those that are traveling from further away in the various terminals. So keep that one in mind, kiddos. If you come in close to the taxi stand, you can use your legs. So that's what I did yesterday at LAX.
Legs.
Picking up a friend. I know, who does that?
Crazy.
But, crazy sauce. But back to the Dodgers. They've got the Yankees coming up, and there's a comparison, Gregory, that you wanted to make to talk about a couple guys.
So I think that there's one of the biggest matchups here is that's the Mookie Betts versus Aaron Judge going on right now. Aaron Judge has been for the last, 3-4 years, maybe the best, one of the best players in baseball. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is the best overall. But Mookie Betts overall has been, for the last 9 years that he's been in the league, since he came up, he has been a top 5 player in Major League Baseball. And I don't think that's debatable. And basically what I'm trying to say here is, would you rather have Mookie Betts moving forward, or would you rather have Aaron Judge? And me personally, I want Mookie. I love what Mookie does in every sense of the game. He's not just a big basher like Judge, who can also play a little bit of defense. He stole a home run ball just the other night. But the arm from Mookie, the defense from Mookie, 6-time Gold Glove winner, 4-time Silver Slugger Award winner. He can play infield. He can play outfield. He's amazing on the base paths. I think there's just so much more that you get with Mookie than you do with Aaron Judge.
I think if you were going to a grocery store, you are going to Mookie Betts. If you're going to a specialty shop, you're going to Aaron Judge. He hits a lot of bombs. His arm is strong, but he's not the same type of fielder, even though they play the same position at right field. All of the other things you said about Mookie are exactly correct in terms of his ability to play the infield, never mind the pressure he puts on defenses when he's on the base pass. And this general moxie is something I tend to lend myself a little bit more towards rather than Judge. But let's look at some of the stats here. Okay, so I've got him pulled up for 2023. Mookie is leading in these 6 stats off the bat: at-bats, runs, hits, singles, doubles, and triples. He is losing, however, in home runs, RBIs, stolen bases. They are tied at walks. Mookie has less strikeouts, but when we get to the plate, higher batting average, higher on-base percentage, higher slugging percentage, and higher OPB for Aaron Judge. And so what this comes down to, the reason I point those out, is that these two type of teams play different brands of baseball. We talk a lot here about manufacturing runs, what that looks like in terms of getting station to station. That's not how the Yankees play. They're not a team that's moving a lot about on the base paths. They're a home run, bloop and a blast kind of squad, which is part of the reason why I believe that they've had so much difficulty in the postseason recently, is that you can't necessarily win like that. So I think it depends a lot on what you're choosing to do from a strategy standpoint. And I think Mookie gives you more options. However, if you have locked yourself into being a masher team, Aaron Judge is probably the guy you want.
Well, you're absolutely right. Of course, if you're going to get a guy that's going to hit you 62, 30, 63 home runs, you're going to want Aaron Judge. You're going to want, especially, he does hit when he pulls the ball into right field, that you're going to get the short porch in Yankee Stadium is very, very small.
All right. Which is a good bit. Listen, as a bit guy, that's a good bit.
Is great with all of his bits. I have no issue with any of those things. That's the only thing that's exciting about those Yankee games for me, is just hearing what his home run call is going to be. Yes, if you want the masher, you're going to go after Judge. If you want, and I love the way that you put it with going into the grocery store, you want Mookie Betts. I think if you want somebody that's going to lead your team also, I think Mookie is also that guy. I don't know too much about Judge's leadership abilities, but I know what Mookie brings and who he can be, and I think that's why
Judge is more of the silent lead by example kind of guy, but he's the captain of that team. There's a reason why. That's no small accolade when it comes to the New York Yankees. And let's not forget either, he was pursued by some teams. Aaron Judge was.
Absolutely.
He's one of these Draymond Green types that's only valuable to the Yankees in a certain way. His skill set is repeatable across different teams and across different leagues. I would say he famously did not go to the San Francisco hated Giants, but They wanted him. You know, a lot of teams believe in Judge's leadership, even though it's a different style from, say, a Marcus Lynn.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, look, and what we're arguing here is like 1A and 1B type
Yes.
situations. You know, it's like first world problems. Which
Right.
one of these two? I just think that it's just interesting of which one of those two. Now, the other thing I want to get into is with this Dodgers-Yankees series is I'm kind of the opinion that, you know, I liked it when they didn't play every single year. I like now moving forward, it's going to be home and away. So this year, the Dodgers get the Yankees in LA. Next year, the Dodgers go to New York, and then vice versa every other year moving forward. I kind of like that we hadn't seen them since 2019. I want to see them in the World Series. I want to see. So, I mean, I guess this could go back into, you know, when we have interleague versus non-interleague play, but I like seeing them in specific moments that make it like, oh, wow, we're playing the Yankees. So, but when it comes to every single year, I think it takes a little bit away from that luster.
If I were sort of an unengaged baseball fan, I would be putting a lot more value on that level of scarcity of the series, if you will. But as somebody that's looking at two teams that I think are going to make reasonably deep playoff runs, I want those previous matchups to be a part of the scouting reports of those teams should they meet in the World Series that you're referring to. The idea that you've got some personal, rather recent history to draw on, I think affects matchups a little bit more. It's a little bit less of a guessing game, and you have some data to actually build upon. So if you're trying to beat a team, playing them more is in fact more beneficial than not, because it gives you something from a scouting report standpoint and from an analysis standpoint that allows you probably to make up a game plan. If you're only watching film, you don't have any direct matchups and guys don't know each other, you're at a little bit of a disadvantage. That's my personal opinion. But yes, in the larger scheme of things, the rose is a little bit off, the bloom is off the rose, whatever that term is, you know, a lot. But that also happened 15 years ago. Like you said, interleague play has totally changed how we feel about all this. And you know, getting back to what's going to happen in this particular series, I said this yesterday. Look, the Dodgers, again, the snakes are lying in wait. You know what I mean? And
well,
I know
they're even.
I know, but I mean, and wait as in they have not left after beating the Dodgers in a series or two earlier this year. So I sort of feel like you're going to win all the competition you can get just to see how good you actually are. And this is going to be an incredible test. Never mind the pitching staff stuff. I'd like to see what this Dodgers lineup is going to do against the Yankees and their staff and their bullpen.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because you are going to see a lot of it. I think that's part of the game. I think that's part of the strategy, is not knowing and not having that data, because the data that you're pulling in is also the data that they're pulling in. Sure. Now, luckily for the Dodgers, and talking about the pitching staff, the Yankees are not going to see their top pitchers. Clayton Kershaw, yes, you're going to see Kershaw, but I kind of think you know who Kershaw is at this point. Right. I mean, there's enough film from the last whatever amount of years he's been in the league for. So that's fine. But Michael Grove and Bobby Miller, you're not going to see them most likely when it comes to a playoff series. So
hold on there. Hold on, player. You know what I'm saying? Because the way it's looking right now, if those guys aren't a part of the contributing factors that are going to get this team to the playoffs in terms of where they want to be, well, then who's going to do it? Because we're just going to assume that, you know, Amay's going to come back. We're just going to assume that Kershaw is going to go on the DL and come back and still be in good shape. Like, you don't know that. The Bobby Millers of the world might be as vital to any sort of remote pennant race as any other player on this roster, you know, in terms of the bats. So I'm not just going to dismiss that out of hand, Greg.
No, you can't. I guess you're right. You can't dismiss it right out of hand, but in a perfect world, in a world that we believe this is going to happen, is that you're going to see Kershaw, Urias, and Gonsolin most likely in that situation, or they do go out and they get a frontline starter at the trade deadline, and then you have somebody different there as well. If Bobby Miller makes it all the way through that point, great, and he becomes the guy that he's supposed to be, the number 2 overall prospect for the Dodgers, then fantastic. He's been great in his first 2 starts. He's got to maintain it, and the guys are going to kind of start picking up on him, just kind of like, you know, James Outman got picked up on. You knew kind of what he liked and did not like, and so that hot start waned, and now he has to figure himself out. So there's going to be a lot of those things.
Last thing, speaking of pitchers, Max Scherzer, former Dodger, former National, a guy we know well. Got into it with an umpire because he did not get 8 pitches within the 2 minutes because his last batter was a catcher. So they had the backup guy come in. He wanted 8 pitches with his regular catcher. He only got 7. And the umpire told him, listen, I got to adhere to the clock or else the commissioner's office is going to get mad at me. And Max came out and said, why do we got to be so strict about the rules? What's the deal? It's like, dude, The rules are there for a reason. We've been doing this for seasons upon seasons at multiple levels of baseball. Everybody else has figured this out. 8 pitches, 2 minutes. That's what you got. If you can't figure it out, well, then as a veteran of your status, make an adjustment. It's unbelievable to me how many problems this guy seems to have at this stage of his career with basic baseball stuff. But let's not forget what happened to him with the sticky stuff situation far as when he got junked from a game earlier this year. So look, Max is a great player. We've all seen him do what he does. And he's also known to work, I would not say long, but he's known to stride around the mound after some big timeouts and this, that, and a third. So I can understand why an umpire is not necessarily letting him get away with just whatever he wants. Not that they should be letting anybody get away with it, but this to me just feels like a prime example of major league belly aching overall.
Yeah, this is all he does. I mean, this is God, Max Scherzer. As much as I loved the fact when he was here, but then you get to the same. He's that same type of dude. He has that Madison Bumgarner in him just a little bit, where he's like, "Oh, I'm the most important thing that's out there, so you have to adhere to what I want to do." And this is just nonsense. Like you said, this is something that's been going on for a long time. This is not the first time that he's only had a 2-minute pitch clock, and his catcher was the last one that was out.
Right.
It's not the first time. So come on. Figure it out. And also you got other guys that are looking up to you and trying to learn from you, and you're gonna whine and complain about something like this. It's just nonsense. Max Scherzer needs to just shut his mouth.
Not a good look from the veteran, but coming up, Dodgers Yankees big series this weekend at Chavez Ravine. He's Greg Bergman. I'm Clinton Yates. This is Blue Review, and thanks again to LAX kiddos.